What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to another game review where today we are going over Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I know this looks kind of trippy whenever you guys can see like the ring light in my glasses, but guys, my dark circles today, they're bad. She's bad, okay? I got sleep last night, okay? I slept in. I had a nice lie-in, but I can't. No, you guys are just gonna have to deal with the trippiness for a little bit. So my article already went out of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it at least interesting, because I was trying to take a different approach with this article and discuss something more in depth than I usually do whenever I talk about a game review. I usually talk about the graphics, which we did in the article. I talk about how the game functions, how the game works, but I'm trying to incorporate more philosophy and more psychology into these articles. And the thing is that I love the fact that you guys give me feedback. I love the fact that you guys are really loving the articles, which makes me so happy. So I feel like I could take it a step further with a lot of these. I used to do full-on psychological papers for a lot of topics, and I never did any for game characters, so this is my way of carrying out what I wish I would have been able to do in college. Because whenever I was in college, I could cover TV shows, I could cover, different characters from movies and sitcoms and everything like that, or even books, but I really could never go into video games that much. So yeah, this is really awesome that I get to do this now and live out what I could do then. Let's get into today's article, where we're going to be discussing the journey of the soul in Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This game, it was absolutely brilliant. I cried. I felt so emotional. I was able to really just understand more of the original plot line of how the first game was even conceptualized to begin with. The first game and the second game tie so well together. It takes such an amazing writer to be able to take one plot line and not only connect it to another game, but expand upon it. Life finds its way into the crevices of our soul, stretching, reaching, crawling its way into our being so we can be whole again. When darkness consumes who we are, it can be daunting at times to find a reason or a way to continue. But through the tumultuous trials that bring us to our knees and create obstacles for the light to pass through, we can find our strength in who we are again. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is perfect example. It's absolutely perfect example of the human soul and how powerful it really is. Whatever it is you believe in, a god, a Buddha, Jesus, or just the trees in your own backyard, the soul is something that is the incorporeal essence of the human. You could say that animals, trees, anything really has a soul. But for the purposes of today's discussion, we are going to be sticking to discussing the human soul. Now, the soul is an interesting thing, not something I usually discuss because of how controversial a topic it is, what varying opinions people might have on it. I've had several theories on the character of Ori, that Ori could possibly represent as a protagonist and a driving force of the game in general. Ori is ever growing and ever changing, so to me, as a character, that's what makes it have these human-esque qualities. My theory on Ori is that Ori is the personification of the human soul and the removal of darkness, which is a symbol for depression, anxiety, and an unwell state of mind. In the final part of the game, you have to remove these things called creep hearts from the different sections of the spirit tree, and in essence, removing the things that plague our thoughts and tell us we can't or we shouldn't. Now, for those of you guys who have played Ori and the Blind Forest, you all know it's a tearjerker. Okay, I don't even have to tell you guys. We all know that game was a tearjerker in itself. But this one, please be ready with a box of tissues, lots of cat videos, and a good sense of hilarity before stepping in, because you will cry. I guarantee it. It will pull at your heartstrings, and the emotional ups and downs we go through, and the roller coasters of thought-provoking sadness and what just happens. It's basically everything in a game that makes you think, and it will make you wonder. It will make you second-guess things just in general. This game made me think of a lot of different ideas of what Ori could possibly be and what it's based off of. Is there life after death? Is what original thought was? Is Ori, a personification of the human soul? Are there past lives? This game brings in a lot of heavy content, and if you're looking for a happy-go-lucky fun time with elves and little snowmen, I'm sorry to say, my friends, you won't find that here. Here you'll find a game that when you put down your controller and put your head on that pillow for the night, it will be there. It'll be pulling, it'll be tugging at your thoughts, and it'll make you think in depth. Most definitely. The main reason why this game pulled at me so much, and it at least made me think of it so in-depthly, even into the wee hours of the morning, is simply because of how humid it is. It's the way that it's written. It's the way that it made me cry. It made me question life in all honesty. Whenever I was playing this game, it literally made me think, holy shit, are there past lives? Is Ori trying to represent a human soul? It made me think of just so much. It made me fall in love with story writing all over again. And the fact that you have different parts of the forest that you have to heal in order to be whole again brings back the concept of the human soul. Repairing oneself in order to look within ourselves for a reason to be, and prescinding from our conversation of the soul, which we will return to, let's go into the mechanics and let's go into the game a little bit more, and the characters and the combat and how they tie into the story. Now, looking at the graphic work and the character movements could be just an article on itself with how vast everything is. It's really in depth, and a lot of the combinations and character movements are just an article in themselves, because you could have a separate article for the character movements, how the attacks work, how the bosses, like each boss fight you could have literally a few pages on. Listen, for me, I was a nerd in college, okay? I absolutely love deep diving and deep, strategical research. So whenever I was doing my research on this could easily be a 30 to 40 page thesis. Easily. I mean, you have so much room to talk about so many things and so many different concepts, but this article that I wrote was basically the most manageable bite-sized chunk and portion I could think of to get across an idea that I've had about this game for a very long time. I mean, there are even 3 abilities alone that just allow you to aid in your jumping skills and how you can catapult off of different enemies in the game. Like, there's an action called the triple jump, and once you have that in your life, it will be complete forever. You'll never see the world the same way again. Food won't taste the same. Your actions alone, the way you walk along the street, you'll never be the same again. All the abilities that you get from the first game also transfer over, I think, besides 2 or 3 abilities that you have to relearn, and there are abilities that become attached to those abilities, if that makes sense. So you have the jump, but then you have the triple jump. The triple jump is an attached ability that you can obtain through certain things that you go, and then you get a spirit shard, and you get it attached to that ability. Now, you can also enhance your abilities by going to different merchants, one who has a very enchanting yet mildly creepy voice. All these abilities in the game make the game so much fun and make beating the bosses 10 times more satisfying. And might I just add, jumping through water, I never felt more inwardly giggly. It had to be in sheer delight because of how the animation was designed, and whenever I saw Ori just gracefully jump and go back and forth within the waterfall, listen, it made my heart fill with happiness, okay? Now let's discuss certain characters and a boss that you are going to encounter that bring everything back into the focus of the game and my conversation on the human soul. Now, a lot of the characters you meet are a diverse bunch that have their own personalities and inadequacies that make them just who they are, and very individualistic. That's what I absolutely love about this game, is that all the characters have their set personalities, just like a book. Gaming companies personifying these 2D creatures, bringing them to life and creating meaning in our minds, making us care for them. It's such a cool thing, It's such a cruel thing to care for a creature you can never hold. A lot of the NPCs you meet will either just be passerby ones, they'll be NPCs that interact with you for the sake of interacting, or they'll actually be there to help move the plotline forward and help you, like I said, aid in getting those wisps. Or there will be different ones that give you side quests that you need to complete, which I think is a really awesome thing that they added into the game. Now, one merchant, in my opinion, that holds a great part in this game is the character Grom. This Grom character basically, in essence, rebuilds a lot of the things in the areas that you are in. So, for instance, he'll build different houses for the Moki, he'll build the spirit wells back up, and he'll take away different obstacles that could possibly hurt Ori. When it comes to the human soul, they're basically aiding in the renewal of the human, of the system, of repairing and rebuilding these different things that have collapsed within. Their characters, such as Mote, show how many deaths you've had, how many jumps and leaps you have accomplished. I consider Mote one of those characters that you can do a self check-in to an extent of where just to be checking in with yourself to make sure that you're okay, being okay, how many times have I had a glass of water today, or how many times have I done this, how many times have I gone to the bathroom or done that or walked outside today. It's basically doing a self check-in to see how are you doing. Now, the bosses in my experience with this game ranged from simple to somewhat irritating. The only boss I really found irritating was a very large worm that you had to escape from fairly quickly. Other bosses are fairly simple and quite easy to get the hang of, just as long as you are aware and paying attention to the combos and attacks that they're using. Other parts just involve a lot of running in a fast pace while leaping over obstacles and consequently getting your fingers tied up like a pretzel. One of the bosses that I absolutely found fascinating and essential to the plotline of my thesis was Shriek. She's the very last boss that you fight and one of the main antagonists that you see throughout the entire game. Shriek ties into the human soul concept in the sense that one can find themselves in this massive struggle with depression, anxiety, paranoia, etc. Ori in this boss battle is literally the light fighting the darkness. They're fighting this thing that's trying to destroy the spirit tree, aka the soul. In one of the scenes right before the boss battle starts, Shriek literally takes the orb that is the combination of all of the wisps and crushes it in her claw, really trying to steal away the light from the core in a sense. And after the boss battle, we see Shriek returning to her dead family and just curling up, and it's very a twisted and morbid idea that she wants to be loved but won't accept it. Shriek made the choice to be evil. She could have accepted love. She could have accepted light into her life. But just as humans would choose to be good or bad, you can choose any which way that you want. It can be given to you, but you can make that choice essentially to be like, hey, I choose to be evil, or no, I choose to be a good person and do good things for other people. Yeah, since we're going off the idea of the human soul, Ori in a sense is clearing out the body of negativity. He's just there being like, be gone, demon. And Ori is literally the only one that can bring the spirit tree back to a place of homeostasis, even if that means killing off things that used to be an integral part. Now, once you defeat the boss and you become one with the light, one with the character Seer, which is the entirety of the spirit orb of all the combined wisps, you go in place of the older spirit tree, which is one of the reasons why I thought this game had something a little bit to do with past lives. The older tree dies, so the new one can be reborn, and with discovering that Ori, this entire time in the game as the narrator, it really begs the question of, will another Ori be brought back to life during the lifetime of the spirit tree? That way it can, too, replace the spirit tree that will wither and die eventually. We also have to recognize the fact that Ori is a spirit guardian. There are multiple types of Oris, and they're all spirit guardians for the entire realm of Niwin. Now, tying it back to my thesis of Ori being the soul personified, since Ori / the soul is eternal, that means that these creatures in the game that Ori comes from are limitless, which means that the soul is forever, even if the body is not. This game has the potential to be game of the year, and is honestly, it exceeded my expectations and just exceeded everything that I thought that it was going to be. The Ori series is one of the most vibrant, intellectually sound, well-written games I've seen in a very long time. Taking its time, not wanting it to rush you at all, Ori and the Will of the Wisps takes you on an adventure that will leave an everlasting imprint on your soul. But you guys, that was my review on Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you guys want to read my article, it's down in the description below. It's something of where, I love putting these articles into video format so you guys can get more visual representation of how excited I am whenever I sit down and write these. But yeah, if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below, because I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and double uploads on Friday. Stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will see you all in Monday's video. Peace.